Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. Hello.
Lovely.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
What's the good words?
Crazy market.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was in California this weekend showing property to one of my buyers, and in Brea, it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. I mean, pretty much it's a gut job. It has the floor heater still. I mean, it's a hot mess, and they're asking $550 for it. The electrical panel was like a tiny little electrical panel that had extension cords going to different places. It was so unbelievably hot mess, and I can't believe it. It's just because it was in Brea, it can go for $550.
Well,
wow.
Yeah.
we wrote an offer here, 1.8 million. That's like the cream of the crop in Granite Bay yesterday. 1.8 million. OMG. 4 offers. None less than 1.8.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Well, hey, I had the best escrow ever. I had a woman call me on Facebook, had me meet me at the property. We toured it. We met the homeowners who are realtors. They absolutely adored both of us. We got it for ask at 700,000 and they took it off the market. 21-day cash escrow.
Wow.
Awesome. Who we got here today? We got Angie. Congrats on your listing, right?
Thank you. Yeah, that's a nice one. Should come on the market this weekend. Showing it to somebody tomorrow, which is great for Shannon. And another one coming on in Citrus Heights, a bit of a fixer at $399. If anybody wants information.
That should go quick.
Mm-hmm.
Going on 3 listing appointments today.
Awesome.
We're all snappy. So if I get them, man, I'm going to try and sell them all off market to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Find some buyers.
Yeah.
I just sent you guys the last week. I came from the John Cheplick event, which was about agent attraction and utilizing social media in your listing and purchase business, and some tools and techniques that you guys should be implementing. And you know, I would push you, and you guys should just see it pop up in your inbox there, but I would push you to go through and check this playbook out. And then also, you know, if you don't have a good social media presence or are you utilizing video, you know, it's time. And one of the things he says is we get in our heads too much and we're not utilizing Facebook Live enough. And if you guys have your phone, both for exposure and for immediate just touch branding. And so one of the things I wanted to share with you, if you guys have your cell phones really quickly here, you can go to Facebook and then go to just right here at the top. It says, you know, what do you want to do? What's on your mind? You can hit live, right? And it will share with you. Right now it says Matthew Ma's online. Hey, Matt. But that 386 other people are online. If you go live, did you know what happens to those 386 people? It sends them a Facebook message saying Nancy is currently going live. Angie is currently going live. It's a great just branding. You know, if you're doing that a couple times a week, it just gets you in front of those, you know, not only your database, your sphere of influence, but also all these people that you're currently out there prospecting. Those prospects, when you go back to the accountability packet, there's 7 things that you do immediately for each lead. And one of them is LinkedIn and Facebook. Really want you guys to start going live. The number 1 media, television, shows are real estate related. After that, it's reality based. You have the availability immediately to be not only real estate related, but reality related to your sphere. And it really needs to happen. They want to see what you're doing. And it's the best organic form of also as far as exposure and connectivity with YouTube and Facebook and Google, the Facebook Live videos are ranked higher than organic produced videos that you just upload into Facebook. So please start using that Facebook Live more. People want to see you. Shannon, I think you do a great job of this. I always get the notifications of Shannon's going live, and I'm like, oh man, wonder what she's doing. So anyway, go through that playbook and read it. You guys seeing some more inventory hit the market? Some of you say no, some of you say yes. Let's see what Altos research has to say. I can find it. Here it is. Seasonality returning to the US real estate market. Oh,
Riley.
you guys get to watch this commercial? Really?
There's
Okay, here we go.
Last year at this time, we were in the third of the 3 weeks where home prices dropped in the first of the pandemic lockdowns. So the year-over-year comparisons are looking super strong now, and I will show you some of that today. It's Monday, April 12th, 2021, and this is your weekly look at the Altos research data that came in over the weekend for the entire US real estate market. Each week, Altos tracks every home for sale in the US, all the pricing, all the supply and demand, and we bubble up those analytics to make them available so that you can see the trends in the US housing market before it becomes available to the traditional media channels. If you missed our webinar last week, it's now available. The replay is now available on our YouTube channel. Lots more data, lots of local markets. And by the way, if you are looking for local market data, you can always go to altosresearch.com and just run a report for your local zip code. Median single-family home price for the US this week is $375,000. It's up 15% from last year when we were in that third and final week of that pandemic lockdown retraction before prices started marching up for the rest of the year. In this chart here, you can see the seasonal curves in prices. Normally, home prices peak June 30th before they retract in the third quarter as we go into the end of the year. Last year, home prices kept climbing through September. We'll be back on a much more seasonal pattern this year. In fact, if prices ticked up only $1,000 from last week. This shows some signs of price stabilization, somewhat. As I like to point out, any signals this year of the market mellowing out is actually encouraging to me. It's when it's too crazy, it's not good for buyers and even sellers. So a little less nuts is a good thing. None of the signals are bearish. There's no bubble pop or anything. These are just some good seasonal trends as we resume some sort of normalcy in the market. You can see it here in the leading indicator of the price of the new listings too. This is the cohort of properties that get newly listed each week. And because this data leads the market overall, it normally peaks in May, a month before the home prices in general. The price of the newly listed homes this week is $350,000, and it's been at this plateau for 3 weeks now. That's compared to $299,700 last year at this time. And by staying elevated all last year, you can see here, the leading indicator, it really showed how crazy Q1 of this year was going to be. But since we're back on school schedules, the seasonal pattern will be much more normal here too, and we'll see some retraction in the third quarter. As for the active unsold inventory, total homes available for sale this week ticked down to just under 307,000. We haven't reached the trough here yet. There's so much pent-up demand that we're not going to get material increases in inventory for the foreseeable future. I'm just hoping for a little uptick in April or maybe May. Here's a view I introduced last week. This is the immediate sales. Each week, in addition to the active inventory, there's another 25,000 or so single family homes right now that are getting listed, getting offers, and going into contract in a matter of hours or in just days. And they're essentially bypassing the active market altogether. At least bypassing the data, they're already sold. So it's so wild to me that, essentially 25% of the market is being sold immediately. And then another 35-40% is going in just a week. So while prices have stabilized a little bit, this indicator has not. Americans are still buying everything as fast as they can. Q2 is normally the seasonal peak for demand. So the thing to watch here is when the new listings per week starts climbing and this immediate sales number starts shrinking as a percentage, as we approach the end of Q2, this will show inventory building a little bit. So again, assuming some normal seasonality starts to resume. So fingers crossed for that. That's all the data we have time for this week. As always, subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Here's what I heard. 25% of the homes out in America currently are going immediately, meaning almost 0 to 1 days on market. Another 40 to 50% of those homes are going within a week. A couple weeks ago, Michael, who's watching all of these numbers, said we've probably peaked in this cycle for where we're at in real estate value, and I kind of tend to agree with him, just from a gut feeling. But the demand is still out there. We put one on in Sun City and it went in like 2 days, all cash. So we have this huge cash injection happening right now, obviously locally from the Bay Area, but I'd be interested to hear just a little bit. I know, Eileen, you've got a really good pulse on what's happening with the market. Hal or somebody down in Southern California, maybe they could share in the larger cities what they're kind of seeing from a just boots on ground perspective.
I am definitely seeing an increase in the number of off-market transactions that are happening. I mean, like he said, it's perfect because probably about 25% of deals on the market are going off market, or within one. They either on and off in one day, or they are done completely off market.
I'm interested to know how they're being advertised. Is this on the TAN network, Top Agents Network? Is this?
There's a lot of stuff on TAN, and then there's also people are using Facebook groups and things like that to do it. Okay. And they're calling they've got like a giant list of agents, and they just call
them. Okay. Great for attraction too. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I found a couple off-market properties. I got a client looking, and I posted on some Facebook groups and heard from some people and stuff. We haven't found anything yet, but I'm hearing properties going off market too.
One of the things I did this last week for some clients who are doing a 1031 exchanges, I just called the property management brokers and said, hey, who do you know that really wants to liquidate with the tenant in there? Just trying to create some more inventory for those folks. Maybe something you guys utilize if you have people looking for rentals. But Hal, maybe you could share with us real quick on what you're seeing down in Orange County.
I've got some construction going on here at the house, so forgive the background noise, but I think what Eileen said is the same thing that we're seeing here. You know, the market's just, you know, screaming with the activity levels, but personally, I haven't seen as much in off-market properties, you know, so maybe it's because I haven't been pursuing that, particular angle of it. I think, you know, in some respects, the client may be leaving some money on the table, the seller. So I'm not sure how that representation works to the seller's advantage, to their best advantage. But for the sake of getting a transaction together, I certainly understand the motivation behind it. But it's still dynamic. Things are cranking. So we just put one in escrow in San Diego that went 70,000 over asking price and all the normal stuff.
Yeah.
For contingency removals and you're competing with multiple offers, and on that one there was an EXP agent, so we had a little bit of a inside track that kind of, I think, helped to structure the deal and get it put together. So
anybody else want to chime in what they may be seeing or strategies they're employing or anything along those lines? If not, and while I'm mentioning this, you're welcome to chime in, but my understanding is that California is really going to start opening up June 15th. Derek and I were chatting yesterday. Now is the time to be ramping up your thoughts on how you're going to launch back and doing open houses. Okay, we know there's pent up demand. We know that those buyers are desperate to get into, get into escrow and get into a home. You need to be that conduit at your open houses or at somebody else's open houses or vacant houses. I don't care, but I want you guys to think about start ordering your open house signs, how you're going to advertise, what your process and your system is going to look like. Get your sign-in sheets all together, get all of that ready to go, because as soon as they launch it, if you don't have all those things, you're going to be buying the 8 ball. That's number one. That's just a business building technique. Number two, you guys should be thinking about launching your client event parties for the end of the summer. Okay, if you haven't thought about that, now is the time to plant the seed. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Who's going to help sponsor you, sponsor the event? Where, all those things, and then how you're going to advertise it, how you're going to touch them, and what you're going to do to get them there. It's going to be a carnival. Is it going to be an outdoor movie night, a barbecue at your house? I don't care what it is, but I want you to be getting belly to belly with that sphere of influence, and get that energy, that relationship back. That's the second thing. Open houses. Second thing is your personal client parties. Number 3, EXP events. Brent Gove has built his business around training events and around belly to belly, getting belly to belly to people. We're going to get back to that as an organization. And so Hal and Eileen and Matthew's on here. We're going to do events, EXP events, training events in July. We're going to get myself there. We're going to have Brent there, and we're going to advertise this to the general public, just like we did pre-COVID. We have this awesome opportunity this year with all of the good things happening at EXP, with people, interested now about the model, with people who have seen the credibility and who are now calling. I've gotten 3 calls this week, 2 from Compass agents and 1 from a former Keller Williams team leader going, okay, dude, tell me about the model. Tell me what's going on. Share with me what are the advantages. And so those are the people that we need to be having a pipeline. If you don't have a pipeline right now of people, at least 10 that you're trying to attract, or you're trying to make deposits into, not sell, make deposits into, now's the time to do that. It's like, that's your target list. If you don't have a list, if you don't have a roadmap, you're never going to get there. You don't have anything to remind you, oh man, I need to reach out to Bob this week. I need to reach out to Sally this week. Okay, so that's the traction level for it. So we are going to do an event, an EXP training event in July. All right, any follow-ups on the market, on what you're seeing in regards to events or client parties or open houses? Anybody have any general housekeeping things they'd like to bring up? Okay, well, we're going to go into today's topic, which is closing skills. Okay, good. Yep. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of self-assessment here. What closing techniques do you know? Let's talk about it a little bit, guys. What closing techniques do you know? Do you have? Do you use?
Pleasure and pain.
Pleasure and pain. That's great. Okay, somebody else. Okay, well, this is great. This is great because we're going to expose you to a lot of them today. Number one. Number two, it's a self-assessment for what's feeling comfortable for me. And number three, last week we talked about the DISC profile and identifying what type of client you're behaviorally you're working with. And there's different, the different closing techniques align differently with those behaviors. So the second question beyond closing techniques and is how many times do you try and close? And you know, is it a 3-step close? Is it a 2-step close? What are you using? How are you circling back around? How many times do you try and close? Tom Ferry says 80% of real estate agents only try and close one time. That's not good enough. We've got to, as part of your repertoire for closing deals, we've got to try at least 3 times. Why? Why are car salesmen better salespeople than real estate agents? And it's really simple because they get to the closing table a lot more often. Typically, they're trying to close on people 2, 3, 4 times a day. We in our industry don't get that chance. However, our profitability is much, much higher than theirs. And it means we have to know these skills, use these skills, and implement them and make them our own. Here's some self-assessment. I am in the top 10% of the industry. Right now, top 10% of the industry sells about $12 to $15 million worth of volume annually. Why do we bring this question up? Or why does the core ask this question in regards to closing? It's because the top 10% know these tactics and techniques. Number two, I work with the biggest clients in town. We're going to talk a little bit about today going out and really securing and utilizing these techniques to work with some of the top business people in town. If you don't have, just like this recruiting list or this agent attraction list, if you will, if you don't have your list of the top 10, 20, or 30 people in your marketplace that you're trying to get to know, that you're trying to break in, that you're going to charity events with, that you're trying to socialize with, and you friended them on Facebook and you're doing interviews with them, there's missed opportunity there. Number three, I actively listen and take notes during my meetings. You guys, whether you want to or not, it looks like you are engaged when you're there and you're taking notes. You always be taking notes and actively listen. Number four, I'm using the appointment bridge. What's the appointment bridge, guys? Somebody knows what it is. We can stay here. We can stay here a little bit longer today. Come on. What's the appointment bridge? It's the things that we're doing before the appointment, the routine things that we're doing at the appointment, and the closing techniques post-close that of the customer service techniques that we're utilizing to close the deal. You know, pre-list packet, confirmation call, text before the appointment, sending them agenda before you know, sending them a gift, friending them on Facebook, doing the triangle for trust. All those things will help our closing techniques because you'll feel more comfortable while you're there speaking to them. Number five, I understand how to close different personalities. Part of that is understanding, first of all, what type of personalities they have. And then number six is this, I ask the best and extremely detail-oriented questions. The best salespeople, according to the New York Times, ask the best questions. Top 1%, according to the New York Times, when surveyed when surveying clients of salespeople, they said these guys asked the best questions. Shall we do business together? Why wouldn't we work together? How can I earn your business? 3 really simple questions that help you close. So as we go, so why Why is it important to understand these tactics and techniques? When you look at going to the listing appointment, when I go to this listing appointment today, it's not only the listing that I'm trying to get, right? It's the price. It's getting them to like me. It's the time frame of how long I'm going to take the listing. It's getting them to pay for staging and potentially updating the house, doing repairs, and I'm closing for the right commission amount. And also, when I have the listing, I'm closing the other agent to get to the best terms of what my clients need and the best written contract and the best price. So we're also utilizing these same types of closing techniques on the agents that are writing offers. And for a buyer, it's closing them to write on the offer. Do you have those tactical terms in place of how you're going to get them to execute the paperwork? And we're closing them on, hey, here's where the price is, and here are the terms to get the offer accepted. And we're also then closing on the listing agent. And when I ask, out of the 20 top producing people, out of 20 top agents in, I would say, in Northern California and Southern California and California, what type of closing techniques they're using, or what type of different available techniques there are, and we only have one, it shows me that we don't practice this, that we're not thinking about this enough, but that this has ripple effects that will seriously grow your business or increase your conversion ratio. Also, we are constantly closing for prospects to get them in front of us for the belly-to-belly appointment. We're closing for business people so that they'll do business with us. We're obviously closing at the listing appointment, and we're closing at getting buyer broker agreements and for buyers to want to do business with us. So this is why it's important to understand these different techniques. So what are the types of closes? There's all kinds of them. I've just got a handful of them here, but I went to Ben Franklin. There's the summary close and the either or close, and assumptive and takeaway and question close and repetitive close. And we're in this together in one word and puppy dog and testimonial. We're going to dive into these a little bit right now. So what is the Ben Franklin close? It's also known as the balance sheet close. And basically what it is where you do a pros and cons with them. And you utilize things like, you would agree that Ben Franklin is one of our most treasured, smart leaders in America, right? Well, Ben Franklin always did a pros and a cons list. Can we do that here today? Okay, this is a tool for you guys to use. So basically, it's where the salesperson and the prospect build together a pros and cons list of whether to buy the product, whether to list the house, buy the house, with the salesperson trying to ensure the pros and cons and come up with a mutual benefit option for them, mutually beneficial option for them. The next is a summary close. Summary close, tried and true sales closing technique that involves reiterating all the features and benefits of your offer before you ask for the order. This method helps move prospects to a yes when they are distracted, choosing between several products or managing several different purchases potentially for the company. This is definitely what you should be using. Why? Here's why you want to hire me, Rich. Here's I've shared with you my marketing plan. I've shared with you my testimonials. I've shared with you a story. I don't have it here, but if you're not a good storyteller, the story is how you get people to put themselves in the shoes of the purchaser and feel comfortable. You should try and listen to different sales stories of how people walk the prospect through a story of what's happened in the past. The best person that I've seen use stories and tell stories, if you will, is Gene Frederick. You guys go on YouTube and Google some of Gene's events that he's done. He's always telling stories, and you guys have heard me use the one before for the listing. Hey, Angela, do you mind if I share with you what happened during our last listing? And what does that look like, guys? Anybody know what that story should look like? Well, Angela, it started with a meeting just like this, where the client was interviewing other agents and we discussed the benefits of my representation. Why they wanted to hire me ultimately was because of the exposure that I got for the property. Do you know why exposure is important, Shannon? Yes. Mind if I,
Yeah.
okay, great, thanks for working with me. You mind if I share why exposure is important? Exposure is important because exposure equals showings. And do you know what showings equal, Shannon?
What are they equal?
Showings equal offers. You know what offers equal? Offers
Deal.
offers
Lead.
equal us the ability for the buyer and the buyer to be fighting for this house, not for you as the seller and the buyer to be fighting. What do you think happens when a buyer and a buyer pit themselves together?
That's negotiation.
Yeah,
Okay,
price goes up.
the price goes up. Guess what else happens? Contingencies get removed. You get the best terms. You get the highest price. And they're fighting for each other. Okay, that's why exposure is important. Would you agree? Yes, I would agree.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's keep talking about this story. So they ended up hiring me, and guess what happened? The first thing we did was we did a little bit of work on the house. We did some trim. We provided the reports, and got all of the pest and the minor home inspection details perfect. Next, guess what happened? We brought in a stager, and we gave the house a wonderful theme. You know what happens after we stage the property? We bring in the photographer. That photographer is going to do HD day and night photos of the property with a video, Matterport. The house will have its own website. You know why it's important to have video, Shannon, for a listing?
Exposure.
Exactly. Thank you. Exposure, and we said exposure equals more showings, and more showings equal higher offers. But the other thing about it is, where do you think people are looking right now to buy their home? Do you think they're looking online, or most of the time think they're looking on social media and their phone? Their phone. In
Yeah,
fact,
totally.
if I could share this with you, 80% of buyers are looking on their phone, mobile app, and Facebook
Mhm.
for the buyer. So it's imperative that we have this video that we can share on social media so that people can see your house. So we get the professional photos, and then guess what? We're going to go live on the market, and we're going to list on a Monday, and we're not going to let anybody in. What we did in this case is we listed on a Monday, and because of COVID and showing restrictions, we didn't let anybody in until Saturday. Now, holding the house off the market for showings for a week, what do you think happens? You think you get a lot of people in there on Saturday?
Oh yeah, offers, just for some videos possibly, and that's a good start.
So if there's one Ferrari on the market right now, and you got 8 people that show up on a Saturday to buy the Ferrari, what do you think happens to the desire or the frenzy for those buyers?
Yeah.
Present?
Oh yeah. Demand, like, oh, I want to bid over this guy. I want to bid over that guy. I want this.
Exactly. So would it be important that we use that tactic and technique, just like we used in the last house for your house?
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
good.
great.
Okay, great. Let me continue to walk through the story of how we got the highest price for my client. So
Okay.
we did it on Monday, and you know how many people went on Zillow and looked at this house? The first day was on the market, 1,000 people. Out of those 1,000, 15% of those, 150 of them loved or liked the house. And we got another 4,000 on realtor.com. And that first day, I have a database of 15,000 agents in the Bay Area from Oakland all the way down to Morgan Hill that property went out to. And on social media, 10,000 between LinkedIn and Facebook, 25,000 exposure the first day it went out. And you know how many, so between the exposure and the staging and fixing it up, you know how many people we got through that open house that first day? Open house, I use the word appointment open house, COVID compliant. But you know how many people we got through that first day? 15. Guess how many offers we got on the following Sunday? 4. 4
Okay. Okay.
offers. It's pretty good. That's about 30% of the people that came to see that house wrote the offer. Out of those 4 offers, we got 1 FHA. at list price, 2 conventional over list price, and 1 cash. That cash offer came in at 105% of list price, 5% over what we were anticipating. And they let the buyer stay for 2 months at no cost.
What?
Is that type of representation important to you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, that's the story, guys. You see, that's the story we're using. Okay, we're going back to summary close. Either
Yeah.
or close. The either or close. This allows your prospect to have more options than yes or no. Here's you to ask questions that lets the prospect choose between having it one way or the other. Do you like it best, the conventional style, or would you rather have the newer model? You have to figure out how you utilize this in your own capacity, but sometimes I've seen this used with people who have different commission structures. Hey, here's what we'll do for 6%. Here's what we'll do for 5%. Here's what we'll do for 4%. I don't know how you would adapt this or use it for your own personal, but you should have this as part of your repertoire when you're going there, as part of your 1, 2, or 3, or 4 chances to close. You really should formulate as part of your listing presentation or consultation. Here's the 4 closing messages I'm going to send to the seller. And here's the differences of how I'm going to do that. I'm going to start with the Ben Franklin close with an S or a C because they get empiric evidence of what it's going to happen. With the D, they don't want to see a pros and cons list. That's too much work. So I'm going to tell them the story. So we're utilizing these different tactics and techniques. Next, you've all heard of the assumptive close. The assumptive close is a sales tactic used to close a deal. The salesperson assumes the prospect has already agreed to buy and finish the sale by saying something like, when should we begin implementation? When can I get my photographer out here? Man, the staging is going to look beautiful when the stager comes out next week and gives us an idea of how they're going to theme this house. Okay, we're using these assumptive closes throughout the initial walkthrough, typically. Anybody else have some assumptive closes that they'd like to share? Come on. Somebody, please. I'm dying on the vine here. I need some interaction, God damn it.
So it's kind of interesting because I've done a lot of this, but with RVs, because instantly in my head, it's like, I can think of something that would apply to that, but I haven't got my first real estate deal yet. So it's like, I need to get out there. If I'm out there on, an open house, it's going to be different because I can go shoot back and forth, clients and stuff like that. But right now it's kind of just over the phone or meeting people in person and just connecting them to that. But yeah, so I mean,
you have a great attitude.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you. Anybody, come on, you old schoolers. Give me some assumptive clotheslines. What?
When we do this, when we do that, that is awesome because they're with us before we ever get there.
That's right.
Let's start with you got to go with the list. Okay, so this is going to take this amount of time. So when do you want to start this? When do you want to bring in the stager? When do you
I love it. Yes, exactly. Okay, we'll keep going. Thank you guys for participating.
This is when the sign goes in the yard. This is when we go with the marketing. I've got my photographer. I have 2 different. My best one should be here by Friday. Will that work well for you?
Exactly.
The other one that I sit down with, shall we identify some dates to get the process moving? Okay, great. We're going to get, and this one works really great. Hey, here's our target list date. Here's when we're going to have the first open house. Here's when the photographer will be here. Here's when it'll go live on MLS. Here's when, all those things you're utilizing as the assumptive takeaway. What's next? Okay, we're going to ratify the paperwork. The takeaway close just does that. Essentially, you shut the door completely for negotiations, never to be open again. This close takes confidence and persistence. I want you to think about this when you're negotiating contracts, not necessarily when you're there talking about the listing. What are you guys laughing at? Hal and Rich, you got a private conversation going? Come on, come clean, damn it. All right. It's like I'm teacher up here. You guys are passing notes in class, for God's sake.
That's funny because you just called me a teacher's pet.
We all knew that anyway, Rich. Come on. Anyway, the takeaway close is used more in negotiations on contracts, right? And it could be, what if, like, hey, Rich, my client right now is willing to do X. This offer stands for the next, 2 hours. Okay. And we're going to give you 50,000. I mean, in this market, you got to go in guns blazing. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to give you 50,000 over list right now. No contingencies. Call your client and let's do this deal. It stands for 2 hours.
Ooh,
Wicked cackle. That is a wicked cackle. All right. Question. A good idea is to ask a serious probing questions during the negotiations to eliminate any objections to buy or list or sell. And I really do want you, Gene Frederick says, man, after I do my consultation, guess what? It's so dialed in. I don't have any objections. I love that. Not because I believe it, but because conceptually, that's the way that I want to frame my appointment with people. I'm going to go over everything. I'm going to question the shit out of them to find out what's important to them. And then I'm going to align the products that I have or the resources that I have to implement in solving those problems. The sales rep can address objections and gain commitment. Asking questions is a win-win situation. Questions urge people to act and help you to discover whether your product appeals to the customer or not. So again, we talked about those threes. Is there any way we shouldn't do business together, et cetera, et cetera? Is there anything preventing you from agreeing to sign the listing today?
mhm.
Yeah, I gotta talk to Lynn Stone. Sorry.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Repetitive
Okay.
close. To get the deal closed by repeating the closing a few times. Show off your product, compare it to the other products, talk about the benefits, then come back and do it again 2 or 3 times. Do this as many times as needed. In fact, I'm going to, I think, and I just popped into my head because a lot of these closing techniques are used in the course that I teach, the 21 ways to crush the listing presentation. Would you guys like if we did an impromptu class on how to crush the listing presentation? The 21 ways. Okay, we'll put it
I
in.
would love that.
We'll put it in the calendar next week because a lot of these different types of closes give you. I give you real life examples of how you're going to use them because, like the repetitive close, I'm thinking guerrilla warfare in here. Why are you going to use the product in front of me? Because here's what I have. Here's the experience. Here's the negotiation. Here's the story. And then we do guerrilla warfare of why they shouldn't be using other people.
Ew.
Repetitive. Sharp angle. The sharp angle close, you may have not heard of this one. Oh, sorry. The sharp angle close involves asking for arrangement in exchange for the client's request. Hey, if you sign the listing today, right now, I'm willing to do it at 2%. Whatever you guys come up with, but that's the exchange. If you sign today, then this will happen. Then there's another benefit to them, whatever it may be. Then I'll give you, you guys fill in the blanks. But basically, as we go, this closing technique is, I gotta slide this over, is perfect when the potential customer is almost ready to buy, but shows 1 or 2 objections in the form of the challenge. When they say something like there's an issue, or can you deliver, or can you add this product? Can you do this? Can you commit to being at the open house? Can you commit to private showings? Can I commit to giving you an added, $500 credit? Can you commit to paying the inspection? What if I paid for the inspections, Rich? What if we get the inspectors out here and what if I give you a credit of, $1,500 for the handyman? Would that make the difference today? Would you sign today? That's the sharp angle close. Okay.
That's awesome.
One word close. This one phrase close is a technique used to end team meetings or meetings. Before the group leaves the meeting, each person takes a turn sharing one word or phrase about how they're feeling regarding the work completed during this meeting. You guys can utilize this on your own, but basically the way you would sum this up is hey, Michael, we had a great meeting today. Can you give me one word or one sentence that sums up, that defines how you feel about this meeting today? Okay. And it's a rapport building technique that helps you to identify how they're feeling about it. People make decisions based on what?
Feeling,
Emotions.
Emotion. That's why last week I said the one thing you have to overcome is not necessarily, oh shit, I just lost my train of thought, but it's not necessarily all of these things in your product. The one thing you have to overcome is that the perception is the perception is that you're there to sell them. Nobody likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one word tactic or technique or sentence helps you to understand where they're at emotionally in the process. The puppy dog close is the sales technique allowing prospects to test the product or the service for several days before making a decision. Okay, and simply put, we can use the puppy dog close in many different ways in real estate. And I go back and I think about the listing. Hey, Shannon, what if we did a 30-day power listing? I'll give you everything, all the marketing techniques and tools that I have. We'll get professional photos out here, and you give me 30 days to sell this house.
Ooh, yes.
You give me 30 days to sell this. Or listen, I'll give you a 24, Shannon. I like you. I think we can do business together. I'll give you a 24-hour release clause on our listing. If you decide that this isn't the way you want to go, but to get that, we're going to sign here today. Okay. I'll write it right in the contract. 24-hour release upon written notice. What do you think? Would that make you feel more comfortable?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's the puppy dog close. Give them something to get them to sign that doesn't necessarily involve their full commitment. Testimonial
I
close.
like to be asked how they feel too. I like that wording.
How do you feel,
Yeah.
Angela?
How's that feel?
About this
How does
meeting?
that feel to you?
Yeah,
That
how
feels
do you feel?
good, right? It
Yeah,
feels
I feel
good.
good.
Sign
Yeah.
here.
This is important. This is important because we don't wrap enough of emotion in the way we're dealing with people. Rich, I like you. We've had a good time together. I like your energy. I think we can do business. How you feel? How you feeling about this? Give me one word. Give me one. I do this with all my clients. These last 7 listings that I've sold, same thing. Rich, I wrapped this meeting up and I asked them, how do you feel about what we've talked about today? Man, I feel good. I feel great. Or no, I don't feel good. Okay, no problem. Then we'll take it away. We'll take our business elsewhere. I don't care. Testimonial close. Did I talk about that one yet? It's a powerful technique which helps you build trust and credibility with prospects, which are the key factors for any business relationship. When using this technique, instead of talking about the product yourself, you share the experience of actual users who have benefited from the product. That's the storytelling. Hey, Shannon, you are number 1 in my feed here. So I just keep seeing your face. That's why you're getting picked on today. Plus you're just not.
I'm going to unmute so I can talk back now.
Oh, well, don't worry.
Okay.
I'm good. How do you feel, Shannon? No.
I feel fantastic. Thanks,
Okay,
Sean.
great. So go on to the Zillow, and we've got the 5-star review on Zillow. We've got 30 real life clients of mine that you can look and see for yourself, the representation that we can provide. Okay. Would you do that for me? I have a list of testimonials right here. I've got their phone numbers. Please call them. They're always ready to lend a hand and to share the positive experience that they've had. Okay.
It's funny that you said my name on this. This one I use every single conversation. Even my email signature is Google Shannon Thompson Realtor for my reviews. That is the most important one to me.
Love it. Yep. And that's the other thing. A lot of people that in that playbook, you all need to have Google business. What is it called? Google business page, and get the testimonials on Google, because that's when people are searching, that's what's popping up. So get those done if you don't have them already. So you got the testimonial close, the 2-step close. Somebody say something?
I just said, good to know.
Okay, so the 2-step close should be used more for these whales that you're going after, or these business to business people that you're going after. Nobody likes to be closed on the first go around. So why does it work? Because consumers don't like to feel like they're being sold. We like to feel like we're the one making the decisions, not that the decision is being made for us. When we feel like we're being sold, we put up the walls and come up with reasons not to accept the product or accept the service. A 2-step sales process helps because it does not force the sale on the consumer. But in reality, you're in control, because if I said, William, hey, we're here today. Here's what we're going to talk about. I want to know everything about your business. And we're not going to talk about me. And I'm going to, in my mind, I'm trying to solve a problem for William. What does he need? Does he need a database? Does he need better branding? Does he need better staff? Does he need a business page? Does he need social media exposure? What is it that William's goal is, and how can I help them solve? And I'm not even going to talk about that at the first meeting. I'm going to use that for the second time when I go in and I'm going to add value. One is the research, and the second is delivering value. It's a great way, because what you can say then at the end of the first conversation is the same thing. William, how you feeling about this? I think we can do business together. You're the top CPA in town. I need an ally like you in my business. I close we're currently closing 80 to 100 deals a year. That's 80 to 100 clients that I have influence over that I might be able to send to you. I want to have a second meeting. Would you be open to having a second meeting with me? You think he's going to say, yeah, great. Okay, when can we do that? The magic move, guys, this is also a closing technique we don't have in here, but the magic move is what? Somebody? What is the magic move?
When would you like to get together again?
Yes.
Friday or Monday work better.
You never leave the appointment without setting the follow-up appointment, whether that's a phone call, whether that's a in-person, whether that's a Zoom. Rich, when can we do a Zoom together and continue this dialogue?
And usually you want to give one or two options so they have a yes or a yes.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, when do you want to get together? Zoom? You want to do Zoom, or would you rather do it in person? Well, let's do it in person. Okay, great. Next Tuesday or Thursday, right? We're sealing the deal right there. Anyway, that's the two-step close. So words that can close, we've talked about these before, but again, the biggest objection for people is feeling like they're being sold. We've got to up our game in regards to the verbiage that we're using. You are now the real estate professional of choice. You are not an amateur salesperson anymore. You're studying the best questions to answer. You're using a different vocabulary than your peers. You're using a positive vocabulary, using commonly known words, but not commonly used words, like dynamic and expanding and unique and wonderful, and words that create energy. And we're utilizing we're getting rid of, these negative rejection sales jargon words that everybody else uses, like price, like down payment, like contract, like sign, like buy, like sell. Never use these words again. Get rid of them. You're killing your own ability to close. So instead of price, when somebody thinks of price, what do you think of? I can get a better price somewhere. Am I making the right decision? Should I continue to shop? Instead of price, we're going to say investment. Instead of down payment, when you think of down payment, what does that mean? That triggers the cost in your mind. Man, I got to write a check. I got to give them some money. No, we're going to say initial investment. Contract. These are all the old Tom Hopkins words. If you go Google Tom Hopkins and watch his YouTube video, the guy's amazing. Instead of, what is a contract? Typically, when you hear the word contract, what do you feel? Locked in. So instead of contract, we're going to say paperwork. We're going to say agreement. And we're not going to say, do you want to sign the contract? Oh my God, boom, boom, double hit, just been shot, knockout. When somebody signs something, what do they talk about? What do the husband and wife talk about before you get there? Well, honey, we're not going to sign anything today. No, we're not going to sign it. We're going to enforce. We're going to authorize. Will you authorize the paperwork? Will you authorize the agreement? Enforce, approve, buy. Again, everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold, but people are nervous about purchasing something. So we don't use buy, we use word own. It's theirs. And sell, and we don't use the word sell or sold because those contrive feelings of fear and manipulation. Man, I've been sold before. I sold the house, and sometimes you say, I sold that house down the road. I sold that house in the neighborhood last month. No, I was involved in that transaction. I helped them acquire that home. I helped that family move to, their dream home. That's a different conversation than sell or sold. Okay. We've got to up our game. I think that's it. So let me stop share. So hopefully these tactics and techniques that we've shared today get you thinking about what system you use for closing, how to close, how to use different closing techniques for different personalities, what your words to use, what words to get rid of, how to tell stories when you're talking to your prospects, and ultimately creating your lists of whales and of targeted pillars to utilize these techniques in. I'm 5 minutes early.
Awesome.
Anybody?
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Got anything?
It was awesome. Good meeting.
Okay. Cool. Love you guys.
Okay. Go
Thank
get
you.
him.
Love you guys.
Go rock.
Yep.
Have a
Thank you,
good one.
Sean.
Later.